If you think superhero cinema is just men in brown spandex and bloated budgets, think again. At its peak, this genre delivered visual revolutions and dramas that actually deserved their Oscars. At least, it used to be that way. Today, in the endless era of soulless remakes, forced spin-offs, and streaming content that feels like it was written by an algorithm, finding a masterpiece is like finding a needle in a CGI haystack. But it wasn't always this bleak. There was a time when legendary directors weren't afraid to treat this genre as high art. Today, we're cutting through the noise. This is our top 10 superhero movies of all time.
Where were the other drugs going?
Number 10, Batman Begins. This is the one that birthed the gritty reboot trend. After the 90s literally killed the franchise with those infamous bat nipples and neon nightmares, Christopher Nolan stepped in and turned a comic book into prestige cinema. It's a masterclass in world building, but this movie almost didn't happen. Back then, Nolan wasn't Nolan yet. He was just a guy with a few indie hits, and giving him the keys to the Batmobile was a massive gamble for Warner Brothers. If a few meetings had gone differently, we might have ended up with a completely different director or different actor. Without this film, the modern serious superhero era simply wouldn't exist. It taught us one simple, legendary lesson. It's not who we are underneath, but what we do that defines us. Number 9, Joker. Many of you probably expected this to be way higher on the list, maybe even top 3. But this is my top 10, and frankly, I don't care about the general consensus. This movie is a complete anomaly. It was shot without a single proper action scene and $55 million budget. In a world of flying gods, Joaquin Phoenix just dances down some stairs, laughs painfully for 2 hours, and walks away with $1 billion and an Oscar. To be honest, it feels more like Scorsese's Taxi Driver than anything in the Batman universe. It's a haunting character study that happened to have a DC logo on the poster. But even I can't deny the facts. The cinematography is breathtaking, the script is good, and Joaquin's performance is nothing short of legendary. It's a masterpiece of tension even if it's not your typical hero flick. Number 8, Guardians of the Galaxy. To be honest, I originally planned to put the first Avengers in this spot, but then I rewatched Guardians and I immediately changed my mind. James Gunn pulled off the impossible. He took a foul-mouthed talking raccoon and a tree that only knows one sentence, and somehow made them the emotional heart of the entire MCU. This movie was a game changer. It proved you can have a massive, high-stakes space opera that doesn't take itself too seriously. Everything here just clicks. The 70s soundtrack is perfect, the cast chemistry is perfect, and it's probably the only movie in history where a literal dance-off is a legitimate high-stakes way to save the galaxy. It's pure, unadulterated fun with a lot of soul. Number 7, The Batman. Finally, we got a Batman who actually does detective work instead of just punching goons in a dark alley. Matt Reeves delivered a masterclass in atmosphere. 3 hours of relentless rain, Nirvana tracks on repeat, and a Batmobile that sounds like a literal demon escaping from hell. It's moody, it's unapologetically emo, and it's visually stunning. Robert Pattinson shut the haters up by giving us the most relatable, I don't sleep Batman yet. And let's not forget, this movie gave us the Penguin spinoff. Colin Farrell's transformation is insane, and in my subjective opinion, he's one of the best written villains we've seen on TV in the last 10 years. Number 6, Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse. This movie isn't just a film, it's a literal flex. Every single frame is a masterpiece that belongs in a gallery. It didn't just change animation, it broke the old rules and completely rebuilt them from scratch. The leap of faith scene is one of the most beautiful sequences in modern cinema history. The music, the colors, the vertigo, it's pure magic. With this one, Sony basically looked at Disney and said, "Arrivederci," then walked away with an Oscar and the respect of every animation nerd on the planet. Without question, it's one of the greatest animated films ever made, if not the absolute best. It's a comic book coming to life in a way we never thought possible. Number 5, Watchmen. Look, I know many of you will disagree, but I consider this movie a visual masterpiece. What Zack Snyder pulled off in 2009, the sheer atmosphere he captured, is on a level most directors can't even touch. It's dark, it's deeply philosophical, and let's be real, the opening credits alone are better than entire cinematic franchises. This is a love it or hate it kind of film. There's no middle ground here. But that's just Snyder for you. And by the way, to all the BVS haters watching this, I see you, and I'm not on your side. Watchmen famously flopped at the box office because audiences just wanted fun superheroes in colorful spandex. Instead, Snyder gave them a depressed blue god and a guy who eats cold beans out of a can. It was unapologetically ahead of its time, and it's only getting better with age. Number 4, Logan. I'm not gonna lie, this is one of those rare movies that actually made me tear up. It's dirty, it's bloody, and it genuinely hurts to watch. Hugh Jackman dedicated 17 years of his life to Wolverine, and this R-rated swan song was the brutal, poetic goodbye he truly deserved. We didn't get another generic world-ending portal in the sky here, just a broken, tired man trying to protect a little girl. It's raw and yeah, you better grab your tissues. From a technical standpoint, the film is flawless. The cinematography, the desaturated color grading the haunting score, it all works in perfect harmony. It's the kind of movie you can rewatch dozens of times and still get that same first-time rush every single time. It's not just a comic book movie, it's a masterpiece of modern cinema. And here we are, the top 3. Taking the bronze medal is Iron Man. In my opinion, this is still the greatest non-sequel Marvel movie ever made. It's been nearly 20 years, and somehow this film still looks better than the blurry CGI soap operas we're getting from studios today. Back in 2008, Iron Man was considered a B-list character at best, and Robert Downey Jr. was seen as a risky hire that could have sunk the whole studio. Fast forward a few years, and he's the highest paid actor on the planet. This movie works because it's a character study first and an action movie second. The focus isn't on the explosion, it's on the man inside the suit. The mechanical clunky VFX of the Mark III armor still feels more real than anything we've seen in the last 5 years. It's the foundation that built an empire, and it hasn't aged a day. Number 2, Avengers: Endgame. This isn't just a movie, it's the climax of a cinematic miracle. Marvel spent 11 years and 22 films just to set up this one single moment. The budget was a staggering $356 million. Basically the GDP of a small country, but it paid off with a mind-blowing $2.8 billion at the box office. When Captain America finally says, "Assemble," if you didn't get chills, you might want to check your pulse, because you're probably legally dead. But here's my hot take. As far as I'm concerned, this movie was the definitive series finale for the MCU. Everything that's come out since then feels like a hallucinogenic fever dream. It was the perfect ending to an era, and honestly, we should have just let it rest in peace right there.
Let's put a smile on that face.
And finally, number 1, The Dark Knight. There are very few movies in this world that I make sure to rewatch every single year. This is one of them. It is the undisputed king of superhero cinema. Just stop and think about this for a second. This movie is nearly 20 years old and it still puts modern blockbusters to shame. Christopher Nolan basically walked into a studio boardroom and said, "What if I make a high-stakes gritty crime thriller and just put a guy in a bat costume in the middle of it?" This isn't just a comic book movie, it's a cinematic tragedy. Heath Ledger's Joker didn't just steal the show, he shattered every expectation of what a villain could be. This film made $1 billion back when $1 billion actually meant something, and it didn't even need a post-credit scene to bait you into the next movie. It stood on its own. Absolute legend behavior. The crown stays where it belongs. Now, I want to hear from you. What is your all-time favorite superhero movie? Did I miss something, or am I spot on? Let's argue in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.